With VisionOS, we're up to augmented reality. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot actually happened in this medium, spatial computing, and I think it'll be very quick to jump through this. And then I might jump back to macOS. Okay, so controllers, yeah, I always liked the fact that they were fully first party with eye tracking and gestures, and that has to be the most natural way of doing it. But having all the other controllers obviously helpful for games, things like that. There's other forms of input that we've learned that sometimes are just better than these things until we get to like really good voice. But again, in gaming, I'm sure I'm not a big gamer myself, so I'm not going to actually comment too much on this. Logitech Muse. Now I know like this mouse is actually like in this capture. But the Logitech, I thought that was funny. I don't know who else thought that was interesting that it wasn't the AirPods Pro. Sorry, not the Apple Pencil Pro or the Apple Pencil. Why wasn't that used? I'm wondering if it's the button input, like if you have to press something down in order to start something, but again, that should be, there's a touch sensor on the side. Anyways, I found that interesting. Spatial scenes, nice, I like it. I think Facebook started this many, many years ago, and they started putting 3D images, but the way that Apple has done it, or at least in their demos, especially with their spatial browsing, when you're scrolling through an image and you start seeing like, as if you're seeing from the top of the image, and then as you go through, you get like a real, it just really feels like you're kind of seeing things. And also to me, it looked like you were coming in an elevator. It was very interesting. Any kind of depth onto their memories. I can't remember if they had different names for their memories, but always good. Definitely want to see more work on Gaussian splatting. The idea of just rendering 3D scenes out of 2D, like 3D models, 2D images, like all these kind of things. Like the more work that we get done, the more research, the more senses that we have to get these things are amazing. Briefly, I would say probably just in my security project, how I was working through, this is just like a side tangent. We were working through a project of showcasing security in the future. And a lot of that was like, there's a lot of information inside the 2D video feed that currently security systems have. And if you combined all the feeds together into one 3D floor plan or dollhouse type of thing, imagine how you could actually deal with things. Anyways, I'm not going to get too deep into that, but all that, so I did a scanning with my phone with a LiDAR, and actually very interesting to see how much it came with just with walking around with the phone. Obviously getting drones or having this go faster or produce like textures and materials and everything would take this to a new level. But just to see what the phone can do today, it not just detected walls, doors, windows, but also furniture. Detected like tables, couches, cupboards, beds, things like that. Very interesting. Would love to see a lot more, but things like spatial scenes would definitely help. All new Persona, everyone that's checked it out is just saying that it's just gotten much better. And I see Persona as like this kind of option for 3D. I love this kind of concept, this little circle, this presenter overlay. Like I've said in other videos, I think they need to really bring this up and help with screen recording. There's quite a few things that like should be updated. Save eye and hand data on iPhone and team device sharing. That's all got to do with having them in the enterprise or commercially and when you're sharing devices. Again, why do we not have profiles yet on the iPad? We're getting this all on pretty much every other system now has profiles, but still not the iPad. Look to scroll, definitely a very helpful accessibility, but anything with your eyes, again, with gesture tracking, things like that. Conversation, having eye tracking really embedded, having the intent of what you're interested in looking at or thinking about will help with everything, not just with gestures, also with the voice and working. But we need to get much better at understanding that just because your eyes aren't on it right now and your eyes have moved to the next thing, because your brain is running very, very fast and you're ready. You might be interested in controlling something, but you've moved to the next things because you're ready. You feel like in the real world, you look at something just to detect where it is, but the minute that you understand your some sort of sense of proprioception is going to understand where the item is in 3D space, you're no longer looking at it. You don't look at it the entire time to be able to control it. So the same thing over here. We need to have an intent, but once we've kind of latched on and we know like our arms are moving towards getting it or we're still interested in controlling it, there needs to be that understanding. Wide field of view, content support, definitely all these different things are helpful. Widgets probably was the one interesting thing over here. I think they just spent a little bit too much time on like borders and stuff like that. But the inlay, the inset of like photos, seeing them from like 3D, really looked like a portal to Windows. The widget one looked in a way a little bit similar to the Meta Sky that we built 15 years ago for Meta. And this concept of like, it was all built on this idea, like if you look outside, imagine if you could see the weather of what it's going to be soon, if that could be the weather control. So seeing like a widget of showing that and how good Apple is at bringing that information to kind of show the weather outside, even though you're not looking outside, is kind of seen a little bit in this widget, but to be able to like see different places, like if you're flying, be able to like actually get a visceral sense of what that weather is going to be like. Very interesting. Also bringing it inside could be fun, could be cool. But this would be very actual, like spatial weather for the city you're in, future timing, but also future cities and times that you're going to based on if you have a plane ticket. Create folders in home view. I think you guys by now already know what my feeling is on apps and stuff like that. Enterprise APIs, shared experiences, very, very important for enterprise and also for social world. But I don't think we're even there yet, that most people don't have it yet. So for the regular person, you're not going to be interested, but enterprise to be able to like they showed over there, to be able to like design a car together where someone's sitting inside or next to it and explaining it and working on it and having the personas for people that actually aren't there and communicating with them. Interesting, but annotations, things like that have to really be there. Apple Intelligence Enhancements doesn't go into that. Unlock the iPhone with Vision Pro. I think it's not pertinent to most people. Most people are going to use unlocking your iPhone with your Mac or your Apple Watch much better. Jupyter environment looks interesting. The one thing that I would probably say that's very good over here is the Safari spatial browsing, and it gave like a little sneak preview. The future of the spatial web is spatial, of the internet is spatial. It's 3D. They gave a kind of interesting thing over here because we've had I've gone into discussions of how like the future of an Apple store is not like today you see like a 2D interface. The future of the Apple store is bringing that into your room, but like in your actual environment. So imagine if you see like the stands on your actual wall, if you have a table there and it uses that to show you some products. If you're interested in something, you could speak to your AI and that AI could act as your genius. Siri could be that genius for that moment that's explaining all the questions. Like you could have a natural conversation and go into any questions you have. You can see the device in front of you. You no longer have to go to stores or pick things up like from anywhere in the world. Obviously haptics, there's a lot of things that have to get done, but that's what a website's going to be in the future, right? The retail experience is not just going to be like a mannequin or things like that. It's going to like really dress up your entire space. Imagine if your actual living room or if your actual bedroom became a mini Apple store where you could see, try on, get real feeling, even touch, asking questions to a genius, which currently is like support or help documents nowadays, having that full-on conversation with an agent that has all the information of the support is an LLM, but naturally you can ask questions, go through. So here they actually showed a very interesting start to that, which is when you load up a browser, anyone who's there in the browser anyone who's designed that website can kind of load up an environment. So Apple, again, it's not Vision Pro, it's not augmented reality device. It is a pseudo augmented reality device because it's basically a very, very polished virtual reality device with amazing camera pass through. So this idea of having the experiences where you can dial with a crown, that experience that actually brings to the web browser. So when you're looking at Apple could probably load up a background image of a web of one of their stores. Now, it's not going to be fully augmented reality, which is going to track to the walls and put items and walk around. And like you're actually walking around your real living room, but it transforms into an Apple universe then. But it's that start to it where it's not just they've started basically with that environment to at least put you in place. You can see retail stores doing that with their places. Social media places are going to start creating worlds that you can actually inhabit, go to the mall with friends, things like that, but in this digital space, in this virtual space, but anyways, there's a lot more ideas that was very interesting, exciting to actually start seeing that they're actually thinking towards that next bit. Normal websites are going to be very crazy soon. They're going to be tailored to each individual person because websites are going to be about the meat of it, not just about finding a template and shoving your content in and just designing it, having it available for everyone. Anyways, I see that I'm coming close up to 10 minutes, so I'm going to pause this right now. Today's video was on VisionOS, and I'll see you guys in the future.